Hello, everybody. We are live. It is February 14th, 2025, also known as Valentine's Day, but also National Donor Day. Most people forget about the National Donor Day part. And before we get started on Tales from the Heart, a podcast from the HCMA, I've got like a little message to deliver today, and we are going to be doing podcasting in a slightly different way and probably a part of me that many of you don't know. So we're going to get a little personal today. Why today? 8 years ago today, I left the hospital with the gift of a donor heart. My donor's name was Brandy. Oh, shoot, I was going to bring somebody over here. I'm going to have to run off camera for a minute here. Actually, I will text somebody to come in and help me. So you'll meet her later. But going home with a new heart and a new lease on life is a pretty amazing day. And it is also National Donor Day. And I need to take a moment before we get started with anything else and say, if you're not a donor, if you haven't signed your organ donor card, if you've not talked to your family about your wishes about organ donation, please do so. I come from a very unique perspective. My sister Lori was a donor and I a recipient. I know what it's like to be on both sides of this equation, and I encourage you all to let your family know what your wishes are. Lori made her wishes known to us before she passed, and it was a very easy decision to say yes, let her save somebody else's life. And if Brandy's family is out there, if her sister Mandy happens to listen to this at any time, I think about you always. Thank you very much for making the decision that was very difficult to make on this day. And in the past 8 years, I have been able to really double down on our work for this community. And I am so grateful for the opportunity to still be here today. So happy National Donor Day and happy Valentine's Day. So I will leave that message there. And now we're going to get into some fun. So when thinking about what I wanted to do with this particular podcast on this particular day, do I dive into the science of transplant and HCM? Do I get all geeky with some docs and talk about data and who and when and how? Nah, I do that a lot. I wanted this one to be different. So I have asked in two capacities today, Julie Russo to join us. And in her first role in my life, she was my best friend growing up. Still is, but it started all the way back in 1976. And today, Julie, as many of you know, works for the HCMA. She's been with us since 2019, starting in the capacity of volunteer coordinator and adding to her repertoire our legislative lead. So we've got quite a journey that we've been through since 1976. So I thought the topic of the day could be the power of friendship in HCM as a family and as a patient from both sides of the fence. Okay. And Julie, welcome to Tales from the Heart.
Thank you very much. It's really nice to be here. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And because this is a girl show today, it's Galentine's Day too.
Okay, it can be Valentine's Day. We can definitely and it's a heartiversary. So we got lots of geeky names for this day. It's one of the cheesiest holidays of the year, right? So
Amen.
My transplant was on Groundhog's Day. I go home on Valentine's Day. Like, can you guys think of any other like cheesy holidays? I can't. I'm pretty much I cornered the market. So, Julie, I was living my life on North Cape Trail. To all my North Cape Trail buddies, hello. Minding my own business when the house down the street sold, and oh my God, they had kids. They had lots of kids. There were 5 of them. So can you tell me how your family got to Rockaway?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, first off, it was June 26th, 1976, which I believe was a special somebody's birthday. And yep, your mom's birthday. We moved in from another location in New Jersey. We came from Orange, New Jersey. So we went from city to like lake community, and it was very, very, very rural to us. And I remember the very first words out of Lisa's mouth. She's walking up North Cape Trail towards Megan's. I'm right at the end of the road. And my little sister Maria was out there. And Lisa's first words were, "No, there isn't." Because my younger sister said, "Be careful. there's snakes on the street. So I remember that for some reason we were city kids, so we go to this rural community and everything. There's snakes everywhere, of course. That's what we thought. So that was my first encounter with Lisa.
So providing education and guidance from the start. I was 10 years old, right? I was a little one. So
that's right. And even at that point, even when you were little, I remember like you were always a natural born advocate. Like if there was a kid being picked on and everything, and Lisa and I were around, both of us wanted to stick up for the kid, but I'd be like sizing them up, seeing how long their arms were, how much weight. Lisa was already rolling up her sleeves and ready to jump on. I'm like, oh, we're going.
I forgot about that part of, yeah, I did.
Yeah, you didn't let people get picked on. You've always been one to stick up for people.
Yeah, I don't know why, but that has been the way. So we became fast friends. Within 2 weeks, we had convinced your family that it was a really great idea for you to go on vacation with us to Massachusetts. And we kind of like, okay, we've known these people for like 12 days. Let's take your child away with us. So super glad that your parents did. And we rode tandem bikes with umbrellas on them. And we did all the touristy things up in Massachusetts. I remember.
They also ate a lot of lobster and went through the McDonald's drive-through for me because I'm not a big fan of seafood.
She's still not a lobster fan. We tried, but we would get lobster and she'd be so excited to get McDonald's. And I'm like, is this Bean? Should she be eating McDonald's while we're eating lobster? So there you go. That's some things don't change. I'm having lobster tonight, Julie, just so you know. It's Valentine's Day, transplant anniversary, so like I'm having lobster tonight. That's my celebration.
For you.
So let's flash forward a little bit, just a few years, about 4 years after we met. We both went to Copeland Middle School here in Rockaway Township, New Jersey. And as many of you may have heard my story before, it was in junior high that a murmur was detected during a school physical. But what I didn't tell you is what happened after that moment, that the little grumpy man sitting on the stool with the stethoscope looked at me like, oh shit, and called in the nurse and cleared the room, and there was drama, and I was like mortified because I'm 12 years old and like clear the room and oh my God, I can't deal with this. So the murmur was detected. They told me I had to go to a cardiologist, by the end of next week, or I wasn't going to be allowed back in school. Little did I know, in 1976, a young girl passed away in our community from HCM, and there was a memorial stone to her outside of the school. It's now gone, unfortunately. But there was the stone, and they were referring to the girl, the stone, the girl, the stone. So I'm getting diagnosed and being compared to a dead young lady. I was freaked out. I walked out the door of the nurse's office and I turned the corner towards the library, for those of you who know Copeland. And as I turned the corner, I came face to face with Julie. Do you remember that moment?
I remember that. And I remember being so, let's face it, I'm a year older than you. So in kid years, it just seems like I'm so much older than you. And I needed to reassure you. And I'm like, oh, you're going to be fine. Because in my brain, something that's wrong with the heart doesn't happen, and nothing happens to anybody until you're old. Okay. So I was just like, I was very much Miss Mary Sunshine, just saying, everything's going to be okay. And trying to, but I could tell you were definitely freaked out. And I was just trying to like make you feel a little bit better, calmer. And she wasn't having it.
I was like, this is bad. Like, I could die. This is bad. And you're like, no, you're fine. And honestly, what did I need to hear? I needed to hear I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed a friendly face. And I knew out of all of my friends, there was those I could maybe trust with a little bit more of the vulnerable side of a teenage girl, and other ones maybe I wasn't so vulnerable with. In fact, most people I went to Copeland with didn't know I had a heart condition. They didn't know anything about it. I kept it quiet because, it's a difference and you get picked on and whatever. So it was 1980. What the hell did anybody know, right? So I remember the moment. I remember the face. I gave you a big hug and you're like, all right, I love you. Go to class. And I'm like, okay. And we went to class.
Normal, right?
We were normal. Okay, so we're going to talk about the thing we did that we shouldn't have done that next summer. And
You know, when you said that you were going to talk about teenage lessons, I'm like, I know what you're going to say. I do. Now I know what you're going to say. Go ahead. I'm ready.
okay, so it was 1980, summer of 80, 81, probably in that timeline. And, you're 12, 13 years old. The most important thing at that age to us was, are we skinny enough? Were we thin enough? We were literally like 100 pounds soaking wet. You know,
I had no idea that that's how good we looked, but
we were fine, but in our brains, we needed to be more fit. And that's when all the weight loss drugs were all over TV. The one that did not last very long was the AIDS cubes, which was to aid you in your diet. But after the AIDS epidemic, that branding died. So there was those, and then there was Dexatrim.
the mother
And
of
our
all.
mothers might have partaken in the diet pill craze, which we thought was a really good idea to kind of steal from mom. And I'm not saying if it was my mom or your mom, but we had to, grab a Dexatrim. Probably the most dangerous thing I probably could have done at that point in time. God only knows what exactly was in there.
Gee, I hope my mom's not watching this right now.
And Carol, forgive us. We were bad kids, but we weren't that bad. You know that. So we grabbed the Dexatrim and we decided that we were going to go for a jog around the block. Okay, so the locals, up Limburg Trail, Bergen,
A lot of hills.
Bergen Way.
It's a very hilly. Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that. And I can remember being in front of Anderson's house and my heart started to race and I hit the ground and I'm like, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. This is bad. Do you remember that day?
Day. And I remember thinking if I just wish it away, it'll just go away. And I tried to talk you down and we just kind of just hung and talked and but you were definitely panicked and so was I, but I hope I didn't show it as much as
Oh no, we were
I
both
felt.
equally freaking out, but
But I was thinking, oh my God, we just took these pills. I'm like, what's gonna happen? So
yeah, we were gonna get in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Not I was sick, not my heart was not behaving right. The fear was we're gonna
If
get
you croaked right then and there, the fear was I would have to tell your mother what we did, and I knew we would get in trouble.
which
This is children now, remind you.
We were children. We were not fully functioning brained individuals. And we made mistakes because they were real. But I remember then going back to the house, sitting in the air conditioning for the rest of the day. I think we did drink water finally.
Oh yeah.
We drank a lot of water to try to flush it out of our system. And that was, for me, that was a one and done. I never did that again. I never took a diet pill again because I was scared of them. But
rightfully so. Yeah.
so I know what I was thinking about my heart back then. And we didn't talk about it a lot. It wasn't like, it wasn't something that was discussed a lot. What did you make of it all? Like, we never talked about your side of it.
When I was growing up, and I still do it a little bit now and everything, I was very Scarlett O'Hara about it. I'll think about it tomorrow. I'll think about it tomorrow. I thought living in the moment, being a distraction was like the best thing for you. So even at a young age, I think I kind of knew that the art of distraction could really help somebody, at least with the anxiety that comes along with having, HCM or any other cardiac disease or any disease, to be, honest. So I would panic a little bit when you weren't around. I would worry about you. I would say things to my mom. And where do you think I got it from? My mom was always like the positive, it's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. But if I didn't, when, I won't say if, because I did. If I had my panic moments, they were always away from you. I didn't want to share that with you because I didn't want to burden you and add to your stresses when you were panicked enough. So I would help you through your panic anxieties, and then I would go and have mine at home in a closet somewhere.
Okay, that's fair. And, I don't know what goes on the other side. I know what I lived and I witnessed. So not only were we remarkably close as kids, our families were close. Our families were very close.
Yes.
And, our dads went through their challenges together and our moms hung out together and we did our things together. But you then also knew my dad had HCM, Lori had HCM. You were there for it all. Like you were at Lori's wedding. You were there. You were there. You were there when John and Stacy were born. You were there. You
I was
babysat.
the fourth Flanagan daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I was Lisa was the fourth Russo sister or
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and I was the fourth Flanagan daughter. Yes, I've seen everything, and even though I myself obviously don't have HCM, I feel like family members of mine do because you guys are my family.
So we're going to try to do this in somewhat of a time order, but if I jump around, I apologize. So we're gonna fast forward. So high school, I didn't talk about my HCM. I just couldn't participate in gym. I had my little run-in with, wow. Still ain't gonna forget that one. Tim, I'm your sister too. I got a lot of brothers and sisters. I got a very big family. So yeah, they grew later, but Julie was like the first, non-biologic. That's the way
The bigger the family, the better. We love it.
Absolutely. So those years were quiet. I would have symptoms. I wouldn't say anything. I'd give the signs like I'm not good. Just leave me alone. And we just kind of kept moving forward. Still getting over the cold. Sorry. But let's flash forward to my wedding. So Adam and I met in high school, married young.
Love Adam. Always have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has. She actually did.
Mm-hmm.
She was an early supporter of the relationship, which started not long after my diagnosis. Like I met Adam in 1982. So I was a kid. I was 14. I told you, you're going to learn shit about me that you just didn't really even need to know. We're going to talk about it. So I'm into long-term relationships, I guess is what it comes down to. And people in my life tend to stay. So I get married. I have an emergency root canal 2 days before my wedding. Don't think anything of it. And after my wedding, I developed endocarditis and it was not fun. This is when the stroke happens. So I want to talk about the day that was very weird. So Julie, it's 3 weeks after my wedding. I have a barbecue. What do we think is going to happen that day?
Well, I mean, it was a barbecue. There might have been like a couple of cocktails, beers involved, and just some fun outdoor activities. Lisa and Adam's new house. They just got married. Let's all be grown-ups and do grown-up things. And I thought Lisa might have overdone the alcohol maybe a bit because, she was still in party mode after getting married. And that's kind of... So we were playing volleyball, and I think you should tell this part because then I don't throw anybody under the bus. You could do it.
Okay, I will throw him under the bus because I think he may have saved my life.
Yes.
So my heavy drinking included a Bartles and James wine cooler for the day. Okay, so I had not been drinking. I was never really a big drinker.
No.
It bothered my obstruction, so I would not drink a lot. So I had been getting these weird headaches since my honeymoon, and I would get like numb patches on my hand, down my neck, into my shoulder and my hip, these just weird numb patches. And I thought I had pinched a nerve in my neck. I didn't know what it was. I also was getting some pretty nasty headaches, but stress, travel, we'd come back from California, so there's airplanes involved. And we had been home from our honeymoon for about a week, so we had a barbecue. And we set up a volleyball net in the back, and we were playing volleyball. And Walter, Julie's first husband, he was a little aggressive when it came to gameplay. And it was not a real volleyball. It was, the kit that you get it. I think it was James Way.
Yeah, it wasn't like a real, yeah.
It wasn't, we weren't playing regulation.
He was competitive, we'll just say. Very, very competitive.
So he spiked the ball and it hit my head really hard. Like the ball like kind of collapsed and it hit. And all of a sudden I could not feel the side of my face. And I drooped and I started to slur my speech. And I'm like, what is going on? And then the headache started to come in. It was slow. And I'm like, And I remember going inside like, what the hell is happening to me? And I'm having a party. That's the first time I'm hosting a grown-up party at my house with my grown-up friends. I am not about to say, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well right now. You all have to leave. So we just kept going on with the day. Got a little quiet and like just kind of let everybody do their thing. But I'm like, what is going on? I think I took some Advil for the headache. And that was it. Later that night, we played Pictionary while waiting for the Mike Tyson fight to be on TV.
Oh,
This
yeah.
this would have been June 15th. So I can date it.
She's so good with dates. I'm like, it was sometime in the summer. Okay.
June 15th, 1990. Um, Adam and I won in Pictionary, as we always did,
They
because
cheat. They cheat. I'm just saying. No.
yeah, we've got, he's a great drawer and I'm not. So his was based on intellect. Mine was just he drew good pictures. So like we went through the board real quick. Typically we would have like thrown a few so people would compete with us and they'd play with us again because we like Pictionary. So I'm like, just finish, just finish. So we finished and I ended up passing out on the floor and everybody kind of laughed and walked over me. They thought I was sleeping. I was unconscious. I had a stroke and we didn't know it yet. Because what 21-year-olds who gets bopped in the head with a volleyball is going to have a stroke? This one here. So the next day I ended up in the hospital. They thought I had an inner ear infection or MS. It took 3 more days to diagnose me as having a stroke because it took me a while to get the MRI. So what was it like having a friend who had a stroke in their 20s?
Um, I was shocked, of course, and everything, and then I felt bad because I'm like, man, I stepped over her at the party. I just thought, you were really enjoying and everything. I thought it was a little bit unusual for you because you really have never been a drinker, and I think I would be more considered a drinker than you, but I remember I told my family. I was telling, obviously Walter what happened. I was blaming him, poor guy, and everything. But I guess ultimately him doing that and that happening and you going, he might have even had something to do with you getting diagnosed before things got worse with your stroke.
It took me a while to figure that out. I didn't even put the volleyball hit together for a long time. Like, why was I having these little TIAs while I was in California at my honeymoon, while I was driving home up Route 15? Holy crap. Like, I was having these symptoms for like 7 or 8 days after the dental work. Up until this point, it was just getting worse and worse and worse. So it was kind of crazy. So I've asked Sarah to come in. Can you give me
It was scary as anything.
the one that has the hearts in it? No. The black boxes. Yeah, the one that's full. Is that one heavy?
Pull it out.
Pop it up here. Thank you. So anyway, yeah, so I have a stroke. I kind of blame Walt, but I don't blame Walt. And then I think that what would have happened if I just went to sleep and it blew at that point? What if I was driving? What if it was whatever? So it had to happen. Like that was my sign to get to help. So oddly, thank you, Walter. Thank you, Walter.
And never, ever, ever scare the crap out of me like that ever again, okay?
Yeah, well, I didn't hold to that one because
I know.
I've done some scary shit since.
I think I must have told you that like 16 times.
A few times, a few times. So that's
No, I
19.
meant as soon as I found out, I'm like, don't ever do that again. No, I mean it. Don't ever do that again.
Yeah, there was that was tricky. And it did, talking about the concept of friendship and HCM, that was a really challenging time for me because everybody else was out there partying, doing their things and going to this one's house and that one's house. And that summer, I was sick. I was
Yeah.
recovering from the endocarditis. I had a Hickman catheter, so I had a port basically in my chest giving me antibiotics. I was exhausted. I couldn't go out. I didn't have the energy to do anything. And some people just stopped inviting me to things because I was sick. And some people kind of dropped out of my life. You learn who your real friends are and your acquaintances are. No judgment. People just deal with things differently. But a lot of things changed for me that summer. And a lot of people that were really important in my life at that time ended up taking a different role. Taking a different role. Remember that?
I do. I do. I remember worrying about you because, I mean, you're young. It was summer. You couldn't do anything. And I really felt like that was starting to take an emotional toll on you. I thought, like, depression and all that. And that's a hard thing to deal with. You don't feel well physically. And then on top of that, you have all these emotions and emotional stuff that's going on. And yeah, that was a rough summer for you.
It was a really rough summer. And it eventually, got better. I got, I went back to work after a couple weeks and that was good. But after that, I had energy to get to work, to go home, to sleep, to get up, to go to work, to go home, to sleep. I didn't have energy to go out with friends after work or the things that 21, 22-year-olds would do at that point. So it changed me a lot. And relationships changed. And I had just gotten married. So I'm like, oh, it's just because I got married. But no, it was really because I'd gotten sick. So let's flash forward a few more years. And I found this in my drawer today. This is my original pacemaker card. And it is dated February 27th, 1992. And this went in at Dover General Hospital on Route 46 in Dover, New Jersey. And Julie was living basically across the street in Wharton at the time, literally across the street. So what do you remember about visiting me while very pregnant?
So I know that it was a leap year. So when I came to see you, it was technically leap year day, so February 29th. Um, Went to visit Lisa. I am pregnant out to here. I am like almost 2 weeks. I'm actually 2 weeks past my due date at this point. But they were just going to let me go because they thought maybe there was like just a little miscalculation. I was huge. So I go to visit Lisa in the hospital, and we were laughing so hard that like even the nurses kept coming in. They wanted us to keep quiet because what wing were we in, Lisa?
The cardiac ward.
The cardiac ward. And typically in those, you're not going to see the 20 some odd year old and everything in there. You're going to see maybe like some more advanced aged individuals and everything typically. So we got yelled at a lot by the nurses, but they were kind of really cool too, because when they saw that I was like so past my due date, they took one of the heart Doppler. Do you remember this?
Doppler, yeah.
Yeah. And they told me, they put it on my belly and they're like, oh, you got plenty of time, because whether it meant the heart rate went up or down or whatever, when you're about to give birth and everything, meaning the fetal heart rate, you got plenty of time.
So I'm leaving the hospital the next day and I'm calling Julie, on a landline with a cord, and she's not answering her phone. And I'm getting a little pissed off because we're supposed to go out to breakfast or something after I left the hospital, and she's not answering the phone. And on my way out of the hospital, I looked at the lady at the front desk. I'm like, you don't have Julie in maternity, do you? And she said, absolutely, we do. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to go back upstairs. Julie's having a baby. And they would not let me back up the stairs because I had the bracelet on that I was a patient. I had to cut the bracelet off, walk out the door, come back in the hospital, and then get a visitor's pass. So my pacemaker and David's age we're just about exact.
That's right. That's right. He was born March 1st, and he was like 10 and a half pounds. He was a big boy. So yeah, they were a little off on his due date and they let him cook a little too long. But I really attribute me giving birth that very next day, actually going into labor that evening at 11:30, to how much we laughed in your room.
We laughed a lot and it was great. And this is the original pacemaker card. There you go. With Dr. Goldfinger's name on it.
I just took a screenshot of that.
It was a Medtronic 7074 for you device geeks out there.
Yeah. And you still have the pacemaker, or?
No, that pacemaker came out in 1997 when my ICD went in, and that pacemaker I gave to a veterinary specialist in cardiac named Phil Fox in New York, who then took my pacemaker and put it in a cat.
Yeah, I love that. Did the cat have HCM? That's all I want to know.
I never found out the cat's diagnosis. Stay tuned for more information on feline HCM. That's coming up soon too, but we're not going to talk about that today. So stroke June 16th, 1990, pacemaker February 92, and then we get to 1995. I'm pregnant with Becca. You were at my baby shower. The next week, my world fucking blew up. It blew up. So Lori passes away. I don't even remember calling you and telling you. I don't know. I don't know what I said.
Was excruciating. Just the waiting and you just went through the whole story from getting the call and your dad being there and and I just let you talk and talk and talk, and I couldn't even fathom what you were going through at that time. And I was concerned because I knew about your health situation, plus being pregnant, very pregnant. And then this happening, and I thought about your niece and your nephew and what was going to happen. There was just too many things that were going through my head, and I thought, I need a bigger place. I need to have room in case somebody needs to stay for a while. But
yeah. What do we
that
do?
was, and then she was like a big sister to me too. She was beautiful. She was smart. She was funny. And in my brain, she was still there because I didn't get to see her as often, because at that point I was already living in Pennsylvania. So, it was more like special occasions when I would see her. So it just didn't sink in, but it was very real to you because you were there,
Yeah, I was there. It was not good. It was not good, but having friends around to debrief with and grieve with and start to put pieces of puzzles together when things didn't make sense, and having somebody else listen was there. And I started a thing back then, and I didn't know what the heck this thing was going to grow into, but I'm like, I'm going to do a thing. And we did a thing. And years go by and HCMA starts to grow. And of course, we're still friends, but you're living in Pennsylvania and I'm here and I've got kids and this and that. So we didn't see as much of each other those few years there, which was kind of sad. But the minute we'd get on the phone, what happens?
Yeah, it was like no time went by at all. No time. Lisa had her hands full. She had everything, the baby, and then she had the niece and the nephew and everything. And these are all like wonderful things. I had issues like with my son and his disability. And so we were living our lives separately, but whenever we would talk, it was like, nothing, no time had passed.
Nothing had gone away. And things evolve. So back in the day, it's no longer a center of excellence, but one of our earlier programs was when Matt Martinez was out in Lehigh Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a regional meeting out there. And I said, Julie, come on out. And then her parents came too. So it was like having my other parents come see me go to work. But they didn't realize what this little website had turned into. So what was your first impression of that part of me?
I'm literally not even like, I'm up the street from where this event is being held, and I'm like, oh, we're gonna go and we're gonna be supportive, and it's gonna be like a cute little event and everything. We need to like I said, Lisa had said there a little time had passed and I hadn't really realized. So I walk in to an auditorium and there are a ton of people there, doctors, and there's Lisa up on stage in front of how many people? I would say at least it had to be like 130. At least.
It was over 100, yeah.
Yeah, it had to at least been. And they're all listening to her and she's talking. And it's like, I look at you and I'm like, who is
what the hell are they listening to?
Girl? And you've always been able to like pull a crowd in and they could definitely listen to you. But this was different. This was, I mean, I never doubted your intelligence, but just they were hanging on every word that you said. And it was just a very mind-blowing experience. And that's what I said to myself. I'm like, who is this girl? And what has she done? Dang. And to be honest with you, my parents were the same way. They were both kind of standing back like, what in the world? So yeah. I had not realized how much over those few years things had grown, and it was really impressive and mind-blowing and beautiful to see.
thinking that's probably around 2010-ish, if I had to guess.
Ross and I were talking, and he had asked me about what year that was, and I'm like, I can't remember, but Lisa will. So, Ross, I won.
So, yeah, somewhere around 2008 or 10, it would be my guess on that one. I could probably look it up. And then we would start to have our annual meetings, and you would come out and volunteer and help with registration and
I
help
was
us
totally
out
on board. Yes.
for all those years. Obviously, we're still friends and all that stuff. So that relationship was just kind of evolving. And then came the time that HCMA started to grow and develop, more of a budget so that I could hire people to do more things. And it was the summer of 2019. I went to the deli on my way to the office. So we're going to jump over transplant here for a minute. We'll talk about that for a sec. We'll wrap up with that. So I listed the person in my brain who I wanted to be a volunteer coordinator. I wanted somebody who was very well organized. I wanted somebody who would make sure that everybody gets followed up on. That's really important to me. I wanted somebody who was kind and not judgmental and who could talk to everybody as I would want them talked to, as being an important person, no matter whether they're a doctor, a patient, a family member, whether you've got a big fancy education or not. I wanted somebody who would see the person for who they were and figure out how they could use their skills and abilities to help the organization in a volunteer capacity as a volunteer coordinator. And as I put together the picture of the skill set that I was looking for, I'm like, oh my God, I just described Julie. I just described Julie. So Julie, tell me where you were career-wise at this point, and then it'll make more sense to people why you came to mind so much.
Sure. Well, prior to that, I had just spent 20 some odd years doing property management for about 3,000 units between New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And throughout my career, I always found myself to be an advocate for the residents, for the tenants, to make sure that they always had the proper environment to live in. And if they were running into issues with like finance and everything, and we needed to get them back on track so they could catch up on their rent, it's just like it was a natural advocacy kind of way to do property management. And in addition to that, I also have my son, who has a pretty profound developmental delay, and he's on the spectrum. And he's definitely, my driving force, and has definitely trained me to advocate for another human being and everything, because he's one of the most important human beings in my life. And so I had just left the property management job. I was working just with my son alone, and then I get a phone call from Lisa.
So you were home caring for David,
Mm-hmm.
and I called you up, and I'm like, hey, I have an idea. I remember I was pulling out at the deli, and I called you, and I'm like, here's what I'm looking to build, and here's a skill set. I'm like, would you be? I couldn't even be interested out of my mouth. She's like, yes, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, well, because that was the part that was missing. I can still do the home thing, but I could still like help others. I can still, you know what I mean, outside of my own little world. And sometimes you need that. And the little stuff that I had seen about the community, the HCM community, I'm talking patients and doctors and everything, I had seen up until that point. I'm like, they're so warm and supportive, and I wanted a piece of that. I wanted to be a part of that. And so, yeah, it was definitely a yes. And I rushed into it. And you probably could have said that you were thinking of somebody else, but I was going to do it.
So 2019, I have you come out back to Rockaway. I'm like, let's talk this out. So how do I do a business meeting on this level? We go for a walk around the lake.
Part. And I get to tell this part because I think this is hilarious. And this is so Lisa. We did. We walked around the lake, very, very common area. We knew, inside and out, back of our hand. And we're sitting at a bench eating pizza. And Lisa draws me her plan on the inside of a pizza box. Explain to me what Well, we didn't have a whiteboard. I mean, hello. So
we did have a whiteboard. It was a white pizza box.
It was a white pizza box and everything. And this is where I really saw the direction that she wanted to take the HCMA, and she wanted to be able to better help the HCM community of patients. And it was, we had to laugh though, because Lisa's like, I can't believe I just wrote our future plan for the HCMA on a pizza box.
Sitting on a broken down picnic table at Norbu.
Right. With splinters in our bottoms, because yes, it was very broken down.
It was, yeah. It was probably not the best place to sit and have pizza, but that's what we did. And I'm so glad that we did do that, because what happens next, it's 2019, right before COVID shut down. So we had to figure out how to pivot and do a lot of things online. And we all had to learn more things about things like Zoom and how to bring a community together virtually, and can the in-person meetings. And we had to do a lot. We were doing the PFDD. We needed to get everybody's stories organized. And wow, we had a lot going on. And we did it. And then we flash forward about 2 years. We start building out the legislative committee, start getting our arms around what we want to do to try to find the undiagnosed. And then something happened to Julie. It's very strange. I did not see this one coming. No, did not see this one coming. All of a sudden, Julie starts getting very technical with legislative language and asking like super duper cool questions, and like making me think about this in a whole different way. And I'm like, Julie's a policy wonk. I don't. But things evolved, and then Julie took on the leadership of our legislative events and our legislative efforts, and went from a part-time employee to a full-time employee, and has really just brought this whole legislative initiative forward. The Children's Cardiac Safety Act is really Julie's project. Like, I'm like, okay, let's do a thing, and we've got it, and now she's driving it. Tell us where we are in Virginia right now. Tell us.
Okay, so in Virginia, we did have it introduced in the Senate, and it went through the whole process, and it's passed through Senate. Now we have it in the House, and it was just referred to the Education Committee in the House. We're really making great headway. We pretty much kept a lot of the original model language for what we wanted for the Children's Cardiac Safety Act. And so it's pretty pristine and everything. And now it's moving through the House. So I may be doing a shout out and everything to all of our constituents in Virginia to say, hey, we're going to ask you to contact your representatives so that we can just show them that this is something that's really, really important. And a lot of this is because of finding the undiagnosed and changing that bias that like I had when I was a kid that says, no, children can't get heart issues and everything. Yeah, they can. And we need to find those that are undiagnosed, find the kids, then we can find entire families. So
Exactly. So that's super, super cool. And we get to, if I call Julie on a weekend, I will very clearly say, this is the friend Lisa calling. This is not a work call. I'm not calling you on the weekend about that. But we've gotten into a really bad habit, because we do the friend talk, and then all of a sudden I had an idea, and then boom, we're in work. I'm like, no, stop that. Don't do that. It's the weekend. Relax. But it's super cool to have those.
And I do like that when it's like, all right, this is friend Julie calling. I need this and everything. Or this is friend Lisa calling. But yeah, inevitably it does always turn to work, but it's kind of, it works for us.
We've intertwined it.
Yeah, it works for us.
We've definitely intertwined it, and it's working. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go back in the timeline, because I brought another participant for this particular podcast. If you are listening to the podcast, you may want to go watch this over on our website or on YouTube or on Facebook, because there's going to be some visuals here.
I'll upload it to YouTube. We got it.
We got it. So there came a time back in 2016 where I know that I called you from a hospital bed and said, hey, this is what's happening. And I made a lot of calls over a 2 or 3 day period. I don't fully remember them all.
There was even a group text. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even remember, like, I don't remember a lot of the details of what I said to whom other than I'm screwed. I need a heart transplant. I'm really sick now. And it did kind of come out of nowhere. I was fine until I wasn't. What was that like on the friend side of the dealing with HCM, and what were you thinking?
You knew something was coming up. You did. You came to my house. It was in the summertime. We were on our deck right beside the pool, and you said, "Yeah, I'm going to be transplanting soon." And I'm like, "Nah." Like, looking, she's there. She's got her bathing suit on. She's looking great. She's like, but you want to know something? It's one of those things that when you see somebody often enough, you don't really realize how far downhill health-wise you've gone, and because your personality and your energy has always been way up here, to see it at the normal range would make other people just shake their head and go, "You seem perfectly fine to me," you know. So yeah, I was scared. That one I was scared of, because I thought, you've been able to overcome every obstacle, and I thought, please God, don't let her have used up her last ace in the hole. Let her have some more cards.
I need the ninth life. Actually, it was like life number 14 at that point.
I'm telling you, yes. So that one I was a little bit worried about, especially when I saw that you were starting to get weaker. And I thought, you need to bounce back from this. So I was definitely concerned. But then we can go to like after transplant, and then I could tell you how I wasn't concerned anymore. But go ahead.
So I don't remember telling, like, were you on, was it Facebook that you found out that I had gotten the call, or did I call you? Because it was like the night.
You called.
Okay. Yeah, because you were still awake.
Oh God, yeah, I'm a late
night. Sleep.
No, I never sleep.
Never sleep. Like if you want to talk to somebody at midnight, you just call Julie because she's awake. Yeah, that I do remember. Yeah, okay. That part of my memory is hazy. I've got crazy good memory.
You were allowed. That part I'm going to give you that. Everything else, your memory is totally intact, but that I'm going to give you.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I have 2 blockouts, like 6 weeks or 6 months before my stroke, and then the transplant place. The memories didn't hold like they normally do. So I get the call finally, like I'm sick, it's bad, I'm stayed home. And then I get the call, 2/2, February 2nd, second month, second day, second heart. Let's do this. I don't know which day you came to the hospital. I was still in ICU.
Yeah, you were still. Yeah. No. Wait.
Yeah, I was still in ICU.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, I think it had to have been because she still had all the tubes and everything out.
Oh yeah.
So wait, she's got like all the tubes coming out and everything. Nails perfectly done. And if anyone ever hears Lisa and everything on a regular basis, the one saying that she says quite often is, "I did a thing." So she looks at me when I come in the room and she's like, "Joel, I did a thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did." And that's when I knew you were going to be okay.
I did a thing. Let's do a thing. Lots of things. We've done lots of things. So I promised that there would be an appearance of a co-star in this podcast. And her nickname is The Bitch. And she's the bitch because she tried to kill me. But I also love her very, very deeply. And in my family, bitch is a term of endearment. So for those who've never seen a person hold their heart before, I know it seems normal to me, but it is very strange. This is my heart in my hand. When they say your heart is the size of your fist, I'm here to prove the point correct. So, but mine is sectioned so you can see inside of it. Because on the outside, she doesn't look so bad. The light's a little bright on it today, but she doesn't look so bad. That white stuff out there, those are all the French fries and potato chips you eat as a kid.
Ew.
Don't do that.
Ew.
Because that puts adipose fat or fat around the heart. Okay, so inside, ready, set. This is your warning. If you don't want to see it, look away. This is the inside of my heart. Oh yeah, that works better. Now I'm going to use this side. So this is the septum up here. And that should only be about 1 centimeter, and it's 3. So this is a 3 centimeter septum. There is no cavity here. My cavity was completely obliterated by muscle. So there should be space inside of here for blood. And then if you look closely, you see that white striation. It shouldn't look like that. It should look like the muscle down here. That's good muscle. And all that white is all the scar. These, let me show you. Let me pull the other side up because you see the papillary muscles better in here. In here, you have your papillary muscles. So this is back on the septum. This is the free wall, and that white striation is scar and fibrosis. These are your papillary muscles. They're supposed to be muscle, so they're supposed to be the dark color, but they're white. So I had completely scarred in my papillary muscles, which is why my mitral valve couldn't open properly, and my entire muscle was just stiff. So I wondered, did I really need a transplant? And when Bill Roberts, God bless your soul, Bill, opened his heart up in front of me and I saw how gnarly she was inside.
Yeah, you needed it.
I was really, really happy that I got to be transplanted because that heart was not going to last much longer. And at 47, 48 years old, I could have probably made it another 6 months or a year, but she was not happy and she needed to go. It was an amicable divorce and I got custody, is the way I look at it. So you've seen my heart in person.
I have, in fact. Okay, I'm only going to tell it like this, okay? We were going to do an event, and this was last year, and you're going to know what I'm talking about. And Lisa wanted to bring her heart, and I thought, oh, it's a luncheon. I don't know if that's such a great idea. And I think there was a couple other people that kind of agreed with me that maybe not at a luncheon and everything. But I will tell you this: as queasy as I can get, I am definitely not the Lisa's. If it was made out of Play-Doh, I'd be okay with it and everything. But the fact that in my brain I know it's for real and everything, and that it was in my friend, I'm like, yeah. But it is kind of cool to see it in person. I don't want to touch it. I did touch it, but I don't want to touch it. And it smells. It smells to me. The plastic. What do you call it? Plastinization. It has a chemical smell to it.
It was in formaldehyde.
Yeah.
And formaldehyde is, when you open the heart box, you do smell a little formaldehyde, and that is so nasty. She does not smell pretty, and I'm not going to make her smell pretty. But then what happens is they put it in an acetone solution, and they dry out the heart with acetone, and then they impregnate it with a plastic resin through pressure, and that's how it becomes able to be handled. I'm the only one that handles her.
Right.
I have I can put a glove on somebody and say, okay, I'll put it in your hand and you can hold my heart. And I've done that with a number of people, which is kind of fun to put my heart in their hand.
That's how she got us. That's how she got a sponsor in one of our states and everything by putting a heart in their hand. Her heart in there. No, was it?
No, I put Teresa's.
It was Teresa's.
It was
Teresa, but it was a heart, and it definitely sent a message.
So if you are interested in coming out for HCM Awareness Day, we're having an open house on February 26th here in Denville, New Jersey. There will be a virtual component as well for those who can't come here, but you'll be able to see the hearts. They will be out on exhibit, and you'll be able to see the difference between HCM, Danon's disease, and all the different presentations of an HCM heart while looking at our full collection. So come on out and see it in person. Julie will be here with us.
Mm-hmm.
You'll learn all.
And we're going to do some other fun stuff too.
We got a whole bunch of fun stuff planned. Yeah. If you're joining us online, there's going to be game show style events. There's going to be education and information. You're going to hear from all of our centers. You're going to hear about our legislative initiatives. You're going to see what's going on here in the office. We've just expanded the office over the past couple of months, so you can come and see what we've built out here and really get involved and see what you can do to help the cause and get more involved in our work. But okay, I'm super impressed at my notes of all of our life experience together. I've met it all.
Things off my checklist too.
It starts with meeting in 1976 and it ends with Julie's a policy wonk. I don't know how that we got from 1976 to policy wonk. I don't know.
I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to support the community. It's a happy thing for me. So I appreciate it. And Lisa, great idea back in 2019. Great idea.
Great idea. Awesome idea. And I love when I'm like, Julie, I got an idea. And she's like, let me go think about that. Good idea, but let me work on it. Like, perfect. That's exactly what we need. So in our last couple of minutes, we talked about the worky stuff. We talked about, those intervals in life. And from my perspective, and then I'll ask for yours, and life is hard. I think the people we were when we would hang out at my dad's store in Morristown, or we were kids and growing up and planning our lives, I don't think we really valued what it is to have that person by your side the whole ride. And not everybody gets that. And if you have it, honor it and be happy that you have it. And if you don't have that person in your life, go find one. You don't have to have them from childhood on. Friends come in all different spices and seasons, and they're there for short times and they're there for longer times. But I think when you are having challenges, whether you have a child with a disability and you need somebody to say, my day is hard, and not be judged, or you're going through a challenging time with your health and you need to say, this sucks, but you don't want somebody feeling sorry for you or pitying you. You just need somebody to go, yeah, that really sucks. And I'm here with you, having it suck with you. I think those people in your life are critically important. And I think they bring you peace. And I don't know how to put it without being just completely overly emotional, but I don't know what I would have done without Julie in my life then or now. And to have that kind of a friendship through an entire journey with a really complicated disease and all the shit that goes on in life, death of family members. I mean, when my dad got sick, I called Julie. I'm like, Dad's sick. And I don't know how you got to my house in that time. I don't know how you did. Like, you live an hour and 20 minutes away, and it was like 57 minutes later, you were in my parents' house and you were there with me and my dad. So, like,
Your dad needed pizza, okay? And that's all I
no,
can
he
say.
was sausage and
I know
pepper.
you needed the sausage and
Peppers.
pepper. We got
Yeah,
the pizza, right?
we got that too. So yeah,
I'm the Italian daughter. Of course I'm gonna make it there.
of course you are.
You got me all like teary up here.
Oh my goodness, Rhonda. So Julie and Lisa. Lisa, is Julie the lady who did Heather's interview? Heather Wartenberg's interview. Yes. Yes. God bless Heather.
God bless Heather and her family.
And her family. Yes. So yeah, that was Julie. So I'm going to just say this. Y'all know how committed I am to each and every client of the HCMA, each and every family. So who does our share your story? Like, who takes that personal experience and writes them up for the website as a volunteer project coordinator? That was Julie. And Julie is probably one of the most compassionate people I've ever met in my life. And she shares that with all of you in the work that she does with you. So thank you for being my best friend. And I love you very much. And tell me your side of being a friend in an HCM family. And then you can ask us any question.
I was going to say, I don't think I could even come close to topping what you said. You almost made me cry. Thank you very much and everything. But being friends with you for all these years and everything, through the ups and downs and everything, I've never, ever, ever felt unloved, unsupported, had my butt kicked a few times when I needed it to be kicked and everything. And hopefully I gave you all those things in return, because that's what friends do and everything. We're not just going to keep patting each other on the back. We're going to call each other out when we're, and if I go into panic mode because something I don't understand, and typically it has something to do with a medical thing. Lisa's the one that like kind of centers me and everything. And likewise, if Lisa's very, very passionate about something that's not going well in the world of
everything
outside, then I'm the one that says, well, maybe we should look at it from another angle. I think that we're a good yin and yang when it comes to a lot of things. I love that we can separate our work life and work together. And when we were kids, we always knew someday we would work together.
Yeah.
Nothing like this. And I cannot believe you made it happen. And I'm really grateful. I get to come to work, and I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy my life. I think every person that you have picked to be the coworkers, our coworkers,
Our team.
are fantastic. Our team is fantastic. Each personality is so wonderful and unique. And I say, keep this shit going, man. Let's do. I don't really swear, but I had to say it.
Oh my God, Julie said to swear. Lisa dropped F-bombs like they're going out of business, and Julie says, "Oh crap!" And she's like, oh, "I said a word." I'm like, "Oh my God." No.
Oh, I said the ultimate one. I said the S word, but I could edit it out before I put it up on YouTube, so we're good.
No, you can't. You're not allowed to edit it. I said so.
Yeah, and I love this community, and I am very impressed in the way that everybody in this community supports each other, and they're willing to give. As a volunteer coordinator, do you know how much easier my life is because you are all passionate about educating others and giving back, and I'm just grateful, and hopefully, get to the point where I can engage each and every one of you and pass some laws and find some undiagnosed, and let's save some lives.
There we go. That's what it's all about, right? That's as easy as it gets. Okay, we will open for a couple of questions if anybody has them for either of us, but I might edit that part out if it's a...
Julie gets to tell all.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of two funny things to like bring into the questions. If anybody has any, they can ask them now. So Julie and I used to hang out in two different places a lot. The woods behind our house, because they scoped way back up. There's an old cemetery up there where my grandparents.
It's really pretty and peaceful.
Really pretty.
And, yeah.
So we would hang out in the woods a lot, and there was this rock formation that we used as a stage, and we would have the Lisa and Julie show. Julie could sing. I would tell jokes or something. I don't know what the hell I was doing back then.
You can sing too. She can sing.
No, I can't sing anymore. I used to be able to sing. But my voice is shot kind of from the intubation. So I miss notes now. So I can't sing anymore. I was trying to get back to it, but maybe with some voice training I could do it, but I don't know. Oh my goodness, Jack is here. You remember the text at 2 a.m. that I got the call for her heart on the way to the hospital, watching what you went through, helped me guide another friend through the journey. Yes, Jack, our IT dude. Hi, Jack. He had a friend who needed a transplant unrelated to HCM, and I think he's going to rehab this week after his transplant. So you never know where your friends are going to need this information. Ross wants to know if we ever got in trouble together.
Oh, yeah. Nothing horrible.
We weren't bad kids, but we did kid things. We stole my siblings' cigarettes, and we would smoke cigarettes in my parents' house. And then we'd be so afraid that they could smell the smoke that we would clean the entire house with like cabinet cleaner and liquid gold. And we would make sure that nothing
made out like a bandit when we tried that. That house was sparkling. We used to make food. All right. I came from a family of 5. And everything. And Lisa's family was very big. It was a family of 4, but her brothers and sisters were older than her. So she was home a lot, and they were off working or whatever. Her mom and dad would be out of the house at the sewing center, Viking. And we would create these egg dishes and put everything. We were chefs and everything. Okay. And then we wouldn't eat them, and we'd feed them to the dog.
And the dog would throw them up because we would make them too spicy. Poor Louie.
Bad, but we were like mischievous and naughty a little, except when we went camping and we snuck out of the camper,
playing pool with the guys in the rec hall.
Ooh. Yes, Lisa's a pool shark. I'm telling you, just so you know.
I haven't played in a long time. I need to brush up, but Julie and I would play pool a lot, and that's how you would get everybody to kind of come together, and then you'd meet fun people and do fun things and maybe get in a little bit of trouble. Just a little tip. That's all you're getting, Ross. That's all you're getting. That's it. There are some of these things that are literally to the graves. So if it's to the grave, it's to the grave. And that's
to the grave.
It's to the grave. So we got a couple to the graves, and you ain't getting that today. But you know, we did the teenage stuff together. We hung out at the mall in Rockaway. Like we did the things and went roller skating and all that kind of stuff. Roller skating. I need a roller skating rink back. Who wants to start a business of a roller skating rink? I would love adult
roller skating rink up the street from me.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. We need to go. Let's do
I hope
it.
my knees hold up for it. But yeah, I think I want to go skating again. I had my
Anybody in the area want to join us? We can do this.
We could do this. We could do this. My old roller skates might still be in my attic with the yellow wheels that I got for Easter in like 1983.
And the pom-pom's still on them or something.
No, I don't have the pom-pom. I had skate covers. I had the white skate covers. Or I had the funky colored shoelaces. So, you know, we're 80s girls.
All I remember is Jesse's Girl. Jesse's Girl, skating
and I love rock and roll.
And I love rock and roll.
I love rock and roll because you could do the stomp to that one. Yeah, we could do that. So, yeah, we're very 80s girls and we're very Jersey girls. And that's who we is. And that's what we did. And that's how we met. And it's really important to have good friends who can share those memories and give it some perspective too. And be there when the good stuff happens. That's the fun stuff, but also be there when the hard stuff happens. It's the important stuff. So on that note, that ends this podcast. And yes, I might have been a little self-indulgent with this one because it's my special day. It's the day that I got to get more time with you all. And that makes me really happy.
And I'm grateful.
Valentine's Day. I'm grateful too. So I got to give a shout out to my sweetheart for, oh my God, how many Valentine's Days? almost as long as I've known Julie, but not quite as long. So happy Valentine's Day, Adam. And
happy Valentine's Day.
Lobster tonight. So I'm happy about that.
I think I'll get me some McDonald's. Bye, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day.
Lobster and McDonald's. There you go. That's Julie and Lisa in a nutshell. Okay, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting us have a little bit of fun with this. And happy Valentine's Day. Happy Heart Day. Happy Heart Month. February 26th, HCM Awareness Day. Join us online or join us in person. Thanks to all of our sponsors who make these things possible. And I really appreciate you all. And go call your friends and tell them how important they are to you. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.